All right. Good morning, Tartaria, Australia. Miss Daughter Didactic. How you going, buddy? Here we are for another show. I think we're doing a follow-up.
Yes, yes, we're going to get back into the Mandela effect again a bit. I'm doing well, feeling good. Been to the gym.
Been to the gym.
Yes, joined the gym this week. I hear you did as well.
Man, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. Look what I've got on my arm. That's because no one told me about this thing that happens if you don't stretch up properly. And now I can't move my elbow, including Miss Daughter Didactic there.
I,
Failed to mention to me that I would be mortally wounded.
well,
Mortally wounded.
to my defense, you did have a trainer with you. I think we blame the trainer for not warming up.
That's true. What a bad game, man. I am in pain, boy, in pain.
That's right. It'll get bigger.
Sorry, everyone. I know you fucking hate it when I put my glasses on. You also hate it when I swear, and also when I bob my head, and all those things I'm going to do today. I'm so sorry.
Uh,
So,
no.
all
Yes,
right.
if you
Well,
don't
hey.
like all that, guys, we're on Spotify. Link below.
Oh,
Join us.
that's right.
Listen
Oh
as you
my
go
God.
to look at us.
You don't have to look. You don't have to look. You just have to listen. Okay,
Just have to
so
get us
wow, all
started.
right, we did a really a show last week about the Mandela effect and the disappearing people, and we're going to go a bit deeper on that today because it's a very fascinating concept. And the more you actually look at the context around what we're sort of aiming at, there's not much information out there. Like people seem to, the Mandela effect kind of comes in and out from just sort of like finding new ones and all these weird, wacky new ones, which I think, Cam, you've got a collection of new ones for us today, which I haven't heard yet. But before all of that happens, do we need to do any shout outs, promos, anything we need to say? There's quite a lot of housekeeping.
Yes, yes. All links will be below, guys. Check out our website. Everything's there. Get shit together hour is still going. We've got a great little group going. We're all getting our shit together.
And
Um,
Cam, I just to point out there that I have updated that. So now anyone around the world can join us. It's not 6:30 Australian time, it's just 6:30 local time. So anywhere in the world you can start to connect in with the Get Your Shit Together hour. And depending on who connects in with you at that time locally will be your little crew. And then one of you just has to be sovereign and play the video.
yep,
And I think that's the way it's going to morph around.
yep, yep. Once you join, all the videos are downloadable, so you can even just form your little group, do it whenever you want. Just get in there. We've also got another working bee coming up at the farm in about a month. So come and join us. We've got, gosh, what is it? Three amazing people flying in.
Oh, there's more than that now,
There's
Campbell.
more
More
than
than
that
that.
now. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, we've got a really we got an amazing community out there all around Australia, and this is just a really unique opportunity to come and hang out with us in a way that's like really kind of suits everyone's value system. I mean, at the end of the day, it's very different from coming to one of the events because at the events, obviously, Cam and I don't get to spend this sort of time chilling out like we like to do. And this way, and it places the value of people like, learning some building techniques and getting comfortable with tools and playing with the off the gridding lifestyle and then connecting deeper into a community and, just having an experience together. And you can stay, we're there for 2 weeks each time, so you can stay for whatever time you can, whatever you've allowed. And you got to be self-sufficient, turn up in your car, camper, trailer, tent, bring what you need with you, and then we just sort of get on with the building during the day, and then the fireplace, socializing, joint smoking, wine drinking, speak amazing conversations around the campfire, excellence of the evening.
Yes, yes. Come and help us build the farm and build some friendships. There you go. Wasn't that nice? Yeah, and many other things going on, guys. So check them all out. Let's go to tartaria.com
Yeah, that's all on
and
the
have a look.
website.
Yes, Kelly's redone the whole
Oh.
website, and there's lots of stuff for you all to get involved in.
Yes, well, we're aiming for this website of ours. We are aiming for it to basically become a place where a million opportunities, offers, and pathways collide. So our aim is to put enough offers on that website that we can play to all of your different value systems and have give opportunities to connect in and just strengthen the physical community around us. We're all about strengthening the physical community all around of us, which is, it's a great experience getting out of YouTube and
Mm.
connecting in with a different thing. One of the other offers that I put up
I was just going
yesterday,
to say,
Cam.
oh, another yesterday. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
well, it was
Am I
yesterday.
involved? No, no,
Yeah,
you.
you involved. No, 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 no. This is secret. All right, no one tell
Sick.
Campbell this one.
Sick.
Invite us for dinner.
Oh, yes, having up yesterday. Invite us to dinner. Yeah. If you want an even closer chat with us, I guess, invite us, cook us dinner, and we'll come round. Um, so that link's below as well. You can put basically a submission in because obviously we can't just take off to anywhere. But when we're in the areas, we're going to get all the people there and see if we can hook something up and
Yeah.
come and hang out at your house for a bit. And
Yeah.
just to turn this into a really long intro, I always get tons of stuff, on Messenger, Facebook, like all these different things, emails, and I can't get to it all. So we have started a street press, our own magazine. So
It's so
you
fucking
can now
cool.
Awesome. So you can now submit it, any articles, thoughts, whatever you've got, photos, theories, you can submit it and get in print, and we'll be getting that up and running in the next few months. And also a link if you want to get the new street press.
Yes, it's cool.
We need
It's
a
a cool
name for it.
idea. Yes, it hasn't been named properly. It's just called the TA
The
newspaper at the
the
moment. It is a
Tartarian Times.
Yeah, something like this. But yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. Obviously, every single one out there has a theory in operation, has photos, has maps, has research, has songs, has arts, has drawings, has all sorts of content. Also, their own modalities and services and products. And being that we're in these sketchy online times, we decided it would be really fucking marvelous to be able to receive something in the actual mailbox it's bi-monthly, so every other month, and to be able to sit there with your cup of tea and physically read something and not have any expectations as to what in it is in it, but knowing that it's directly coming out of our community, directly to you. So obviously Cam and I are not we're not controlling the editorial side of things. We are really happy to print without bias as long as it's coming from within our community. And we're very happy to support anyone who wants to promote any of their services or modalities or events or groups or dinner parties or anything like this. You could put in a classified, you honestly, it's up to your imagination. But
Mm.
if the community gets behind this one, we're going to have a kick-ass way of staying in contact and promoting within the community off the internet. So I'm really pumped and think with all the content we get sent, every week, all of that could be actually put into print and actually be handed to the whole community. I mean, that's just fucking cool. To subscribe to it, it's $30 a month, which is essentially our membership. And that $30 a month is paying for the printing and the postage and just essentially keeping that's if you want to support Tartaria Australia, if you love what we've been doing and you want to just support us, then getting a sub to the newspaper is what would just do amazing for not us, but and us and the whole. So we are really excited to put that together and see what happens, but it's totally dependent on you guys.
Indeed. Yes, yes, it's an experiment in
Yeah,
progress, but we're sure it's going to be awesome.
yeah, I'm
Thanks
pumped.
to all you guys. All right.
Wait,
That was
and
the
also
introduction.
Cam.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Oh,
God, and this is what's happened because we filled the website with offers. It's full on all. We put in call out for the music. We
oh
want some
yes.
music. So we'll put a call out for the musicians, not only to join us at the volunteer events and the live events, because now we are doing it on the farm. We've got like so much more scope to be able to do so many amazing things around music. Yeah, but we also are looking for submissions to for intros and outros for the shows and just like all our online stuff. And yeah, we want to hear from the musicians. And of course, this volunteer weekend is all about painting murals as far as I'm concerned. Campbell's in charge of the building, but I'm doing painting this time. So if there's any artists out there that want to come and paint alongside me, we've got heaps to paint and I'm not dictating it. You get a wall or a column or whatever and go for it. It's entirely up to you to yeah, call out to the artists in the community. And really traveling to come to where our farm is in Tabulum. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. It's not a difficult trip. It's right down freaking Bruce highways and la la la. It's not tricky. You can do it and it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Easy to find, don't need a
Whew.
four-wheel drive. So come and join us. All the links
All
below.
right. Okay.
Okay, have we
We can
finished
move
the
on.
introduction? All right.
Yes.
The show begins. Ah.
Oh, you better have something good to say, Campbell. Why don't we start?
Oh,
All right. Well,
well,
hey, what did you take out of all the comments? Let's get paraphrase last week's show. We basically suggested the theory that we are witnessing live, the Mandela effect of the population of this realm. That was basically what we were that's what we were
hypothesizing.
hypothesizing on last week. Now, I read all the comments, I always do. So, you want to say anything about any of that?
Yes, you're much better than me. I don't often read all the comments. I
Ah,
do try to read some. I'm just
I'm
trying.
a Virgo.
Well, maybe you should go through. I have seen a lot of the China stuff popping up on other videos now. It's
Yeah,
starting to become a bit of a topic. So there's definitely something going on.
yeah.
Tell us about the comments.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of people were agreeing,
Maybe
and there was a lot of people who were saying, like I've seen, I'm in my city and there's heaps of people, like I don't relate. There was a lot of people who couldn't relate, and then there's a lot of people who were definitely saying yes. So I guess like the easiest way to really concur on the topic would be to take a drive at nighttime through your city or through the suburbs and just see if, what lights are on. Because every time I've traveled abroad, that's been when you can tell. It's like when are the lights on? And my friend Hannah in England, call out to Han, um, she sent me a pile of photos. She was recently in London on a Saturday night, prime time, basically Trafalgar Square, right in the heart of London. And she's just sending me photos of empty streets, just like no one there. And like she used to work in the area and she very clearly remembers that, it was pumping. It was wall to wall traffic. You couldn't even get into places or get to places without being shoulder to shoulder. So there's definitely been a dramatic decrease
Mhm.
in the presence of people, shall we say.
Yeah, yeah. And please let us know what's going on where you live, because that's a good thing. That's one good thing, right, about the internet. It connects us all, connects the info, and yeah, let us know. Like, is it empty where you are? Is it normal? Is it full? Because we need to know.
All right, so Cam,
Yes.
let's just get you've done some we've done some deeper thinking on the Mandela effect. You've come up with a new list of really weird ones, which I don't know about yet, so I'm very keen to go on. Hit me with them.
So, one close to our hearts, the Hindenburg disaster. I'll put some footage up. I'm sure you've all seen it. But basically, what's happened is, I mean, let us know. As far as I knew, it was the worst air disaster of ever, and everyone died. But no, that's not what happened. Of the 97 people on board the Hindenburg airship, when it caught fire and crashed in 1937, 62 of them survived. Two-thirds, though many suffered severe injuries. The last surviving passenger passed away in 2019.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't even remember. All I remember is massive crash and exploded. So I just assumed that no one survived.
Hmm. And
Yep.
an interesting thing is that a second bit of footage came out like about 8 years ago that had never been seen before. And so now there's two different footages of the Hindenburg. And as far as I ever knew, there was only ever one. I mean, and how's that? So now we're supposed to believe that this event just happened to be caught two people with video cameras back in 1937. Crazy, right?
Yeah, that is crazy. Video cameras. Were they even really a thing?
Wow, we're going to get into that. So, this is just an interesting one. Barrage balloons, which I've never heard of. Barrage balloons were uncrewed tethered balloons used during World War One and Two to create a defensive barrier against low-flying aircraft. So they had these balloons flying, just hung tethered in the air all over the place, right? To stop low. Has anyone ever heard of this before? Because I
I have never seen that before.
So they're like exploding balloons and planes fly into them and they blow up. But I mean, wouldn't you? They look like they'd be pretty easy to miss. So it's just this weird. There's a few of these weird historical ones. There's actually another one to do with the war, but that's just an interesting one. I thought I'd show.
Well,
When
that's so.
did,
Are you suggesting you've never seen those images before?
I'm definitely saying I've never seen
Well,
these images before.
I mean, that's worth pointing out because you do like spend a lot of time in the realm of exploring.
Yeah, and looking for airships in old
Yep,
pictures,
yep,
right?
yep,
Never seen anything like this. And these are clearly like they're balloons, right? Like it's got the classic this sort of shape,
yep,
that classic kind of what was it, Dunlop, who used to have
yep.
the balloons. So not an airship, but weird, right? And to make it weirder, in World War II, they used to paint the ships. Has anyone ever seen a World War II battleship that wasn't grey? Look,
I've never seen
and
pictures, but I have heard of this concept
these are called dazzle ships
because they're meant to interfere. It's meant to interfere with.
with well, not radar, I guess, but I guess when they're visual sighting, it's supposed to make them not look like a ship so much,
Oh, okay, all right.
like this one. So it's just all
Yep, yep.
funny angles. I mean, but also like what does that design remind you of?
Electricity, TVs. It reminds me of the when midnight struck on the television.
Oh, not
White noise, the gin,
the G in there.
the
Exactly, the
clown thing.
clowns. Yep,
Yep.
exactly right. Yep, Nephilim are clowns. So I don't know. I've never seen or heard of this before, guys. Let me know if you have, right? Dazzle ships. All right, now the cool. Like this is
There's more. Excellent.
when was the first video call, the first like Zoom call, face to face, like we're doing now on a screen? When was it? What do you think, Kelly Jones?
Oh, well, look, you know, if you would think Zoom was sort of like started to be popularized, what, 5 years ago? Sort of had its big moment when COVID hit. I guess it was around 10 years before that.
Yep.
But I know that
You
won't
would
be your
think it'd be
answer.
this century, right?
Yeah, yes.
But no,
But no, of course we don't think that really. Not if you and I were really honest about it.
exactly right. It's all inventions, from the inventory. The first video call took place on April 8th, 1927, when Herbert
Well,
Hoover, the then Secretary of Commerce, made a call from a Bell's Lab facility in Washington to AT&T's corporate office. AT&T?
go
That's a telephone company. What were they doing existing? When was the telephone invented? Let's,
and find out. So video calls, well, I've seen pictures of those, women, the black
yes,
and white images dialing up using a,
the umbrella.
yeah, yep, yep,
1876. Okay.
yep.
Yeah, and Martin's definitely shown images of people like black and white ones, like doing video calls, and there's a reason for that because um, go away. Did you know that German had a video telephone service in 1936?
No, I did not know that, Campbell.
The first two-way video service was launched on March the 1st, 1936, and they had these things all across Germany. And you could just book time on them and go and have video calls. German's video phone system was quite impressive of an invention for its time. Video was delivered at 25 frames per second on a cathode ray tube, pixel count of 40,000. I mean, that's better than the black and white TV I had
Yep.
in the 70s.
Yep. It's true. I mean, everything about technology now, like, I mean, do we, so I can't confirm these as Mandela effects because I don't know I didn't know about them enough to know if that was new or a twerk of the old memory that I have on it.
Yeah, because I mean, these all happened way before our time, obviously. But I mean, what I can attest to is I've definitely never been told that. It's never been put out as even in the collective mind.
Yep.
It's not all this. stuff was revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
With Zoom and all these calls. So it's, but yeah, I mean, let us know, guys. Let us know. What do you think? And I did check out when was television invented, around the 1920s. First televised drama was broadcast in 1928. This video call happened the year before we even had
Yeah.
TV. They were doing
Yep.
video calls. So, I mean, all pretty interesting, right? Like lots of quirks. And like I said, Martin showed the ladies with the umbrella and he showed other stuff that he's been digging up. And so was it just buried information like a lot of Tartarian stuff seems to be, or is this a Mandela effect? We're not sure.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, isn't it? Like, yeah. I mean, we went through that the first year or so when we were working together. You know, we'd ask all the questions and then the information would just suddenly, like in the most
It would just
like,
appear.
yeah, it
Yes.
would disappear. So that happened. So well, okay. So the thing with the Mandela effect that we know for sure, even though I think it's probably a grossly wrong terminology, I think calling it the Mandela effect is really problematic because like it holds us to this like cute, like cute and
Yes.
quirky, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, entertaining sort of like curiosity.
Yeah.
It really does lend itself to sort of what's it like popular culture. But actually, when we take the popular culture side of things out of it and look at it actually as a serious um, unfolding that's happening on the realm at the moment, like there's probably a much better term for it. But right now, what we know about it is that it's literally causing things, it's causing people's memories to change.
Yeah.
And with those memories, the object or logo or thing in question seems to change through all time and space, so
Yes.
that we don't have all the evidence that you would imagine that should exist to validate your old memory and counteract the new one is no longer available. You know, you can't, it's very hard to find. You have to really search, and then finding something of the old memory is sort of like it's a really rare occurrence. It happens, but it's
It,
rare.
it is, but I mean, isn't it weird that that evidence, that residue even exists?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I guess the weird part is it proves that it's not collective misremembering, as the science department would like us to believe. There's something going on, right? And like you said, I think the thing is that we tend to look at like the Berenstain Bears and Mirror Mirror on the Wall and all these kind of things that that's wow, that's weird, that changed, right? But we don't
Mm,
see that it's really affecting
mm,
the timeline so much. It's just these quirky little things.
yeah.
But then we have, and you witnessed it, right? That Tiananmen Square,
Mm,
like that was a history-changing event.
indeed. Yeah.
Right. And we've got, the Zeppelin now, right? That was a very history-changing event. It seems to have been altered. Things in the Bible. So there
Yeah.
are bigger changes
Anatomy.
taking place. And that
Anatomy.
anatomy, yes, if you didn't know it, guys, your heart is no longer on the left side of your chest.
And you got floating ribs that weren't
And you
there
got,
before.
and that's a weird one because it's still illegal to punch people in the ribs in boxing. And they have all, I mean, in the ribs, in the kidneys, because the kidneys are now up under your floating ribs. So
Yeah,
you
so the
can't actually
kidneys used
punch them.
to be, yeah,
They
exactly.
used to be
So,
below. You could actually punch them, and people wear kidney belts and stuff, right?
mm.
So that's weird because there's a lot of residue, and there's some weird ones like that. But yeah, it's not viewed as something like as big as it should be, which I've found amazing. For years now, there's people sort of touch on it, but really, and I did a bit of research before this. Most of the videos are just the 10 newest Mandela effects, and just
Yeah, yeah,
sort of wow, what do you believe?
yeah.
But there's not a lot on the bigger questions being asked on what the hell is going on here.
I mean, we don't even know if if the World War II and the whole like Jewish concentration camps was not a Mandela effect. You know,
Please, Kelly.
like there's so many things that could have occurred basically in our reality that have experienced whatever this force is. Let's just call it a force.
The fourth.
Whatever this force is that is changing our perceptions of reality. And through our perceptions changing, and that was another question I had to ask you, Cam. Do you think that that by changing our memories and changing our perceptions, that in itself, because we have to project consciousness forward, is the thing that can eradicate and erase evidence past. I don't know. I was just interested in that because it seems to be it's memory based. So it's not that people are like kicking and screaming because suddenly they can't find these books that they were looking for with the right spelling. They're kicking and screaming because they are being confronted by a false memory. Now, so then we look at what is, like, how does one get in a situation where they have an old memory or they've accepted the new memory and suddenly there's a split? Always this split going on. Wherever, whatever topic we're on, there's always a split right now.
Yeah.
So right now we've got two sides of the population. So to take it back to last week's conversation, Cam, where we were focused on China, I really wanted to sit down and try to figure out, what is it about China specifically that we could be seeing this happening there, um, really dramatically and really obviously, and our attention's on China. Why China? What was unique about China? Of all the other countries and continents, why China? What do you
Hmm.
think?
Well, I mean, China was one of the biggest boogeymen for the West. It was China and Russia. They seem to be the manufacturing, head of the world, really, like Eastern and Western. Communist, obviously, one of the major communist, still communist countries. Apart from that, I mean, what is China? Chinese medicine, dragons, all their cool, Tai Chi and all that kind of stuff is
It's the
kind of
oldest
Chinese.
spiritual.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the oldest culture, we're told.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Well, I mean, I when I was sitting down thinking about it, like I just looked at what was obvious. What's obvious about this continent above everyone else? Well, I think they've
Well,
been more
hive
digital.
hive mind. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been more digitally synthesized than any other culture. Like, I mean, fucking the West is hardcore as well, but the Chinese people have been digitally synthesized, and they've undergone massive mind control trauma programming. Like their whole religious slash political agendas of the last, 100 years has been all mind control trauma
Yeah.
based programming. They've been like they're so subservient as a culture as a result, and they're already prone to that through their genetics anyway, to be subservient. So now and so every single directive or order that's been passed down to them, they have collectively um, signed up to because they've had essentially no option. And I was speaking to my partner yesterday who was telling me about who's in China right now and observing the emptiness, but also speaking to some Chinese people. And basically, her friend was talking about the idea that like they had no option. If you didn't get, say, the last lot of jabs, you would basically have the police coming to your door and dragging you out onto the street physically, whether you were 5 years old, a woman, a grandparent, it didn't matter. You'd be physically dragged out of your house and you would be forced. So, and that's just systematic of every step of the way with China. So these people they've been through this process synthesized biologically and synthesized digitally. And essentially, they have basically given complete and utter consent, right, to um, let's say the agenda. Now, the reason I started to
Mm.
looking at this was because we talk about the jab. One thing that became very clear during the process with that was that you either gave consent or you didn't.
Yeah.
Now, this sort of timeline activity and this sort of force that's upon us, how much of it is about consent?
Yeah. All of it. I mean, and I think this comes back to my belief that I don't think the controllers want to control, right? They want their slave population. They want to be seen as living gods and all this kind of stuff. So they need a controllable population to be their slaves. And so that's obviously a bit of the consent, is people who aren't going to consent that they're no good as slaves, right? They just
Yeah.
that was the split. But I've always thought that, based on this split, because it seems to be that something has to split. Like it doesn't look like the entire population of the world can go in the same direction, right down the same road. We're going in different directions. And so I always thought that they were, yeah, trying to get their population, they could turn into slaves. And then when this change happens, then we all go forward and they get to keep their slaves, right, in this vibration or whatever. I mean, is that what's happened with China? Have they gone, okay, yeah, we found them and they've started taking them? Just a thought.
I mean, possible, because like I guess what I was getting to was that there's a few similar what's I don't know what the word is similarities that go on by both sides, and they're not similarities, attributes, that's the word I'm looking for. There's certain attributes, and one of those attributes with the people who remember the old memories, so aren't impacted by the Mandela effect, don't take it on board, just like don't accept them. They also, I would say, majority of them didn't give consent along the way for synthetic uploading. Now, when I'm that, which is also clumsy language, but what I'm talking about is not just, all right, so the jab was like the final big biological consent, I believe.
Yeah.
When you gave consent with the jab, you basically consented to essentially entering the new artificial intelligent inorganic timeline. But all the way along, there was lots of little consents, right? And each
Yeah.
time you gave a little consent, it added to the final consent. And all the way along the way, in those who do not give consent hardly at all ever, like don't consent to politics, don't consent to voting, don't consent to vaccinations, don't consent to poisonous
Tax,
food, huh?
tax.
Tax, like who are basically opposed to the system and very, very hard pressed to give consent to it ever on any topic. Um, they're along the way, they seem to be the ones that do have the old memories, that are like aware of and conscious of this thing called the Mandela effect.
Mm,
Whereas the ones that haven't done that and have offered consent time and time again, they seem to be synthesized with it.
mm.
So then I was starting to look at this last. So I mean, I had this image in my head of writing a consent form with a needle, with a jab needle, like
Ah,
that the final big ship. So now you think about China. Every single one of the people in that country got at least three jabs, at least, like without exception. They all signed up to it, did what they told, and it would have been the most experimental thing. So would it? And I think of all the countries in the world, China was the one that did that the most. What do you
yeah.
think?
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Never been there, but everything I've heard and heard about the people and how compliant they are, and they still love their. Is it Mouse? No, he's not the one there anymore. But they still
Mao.
love Mao as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
don't
they
they?
do.
But
Yep,
they treat their politicians almost like gods, right? Like the Egyptians did.
yep.
Yeah.
And that's born out of trauma, mind control
Oh,
trauma, and
totally.
they have no context for the outside world. They do not know what's happening outside of China. Their means of connecting in with the rest of the world's information is very limited
Mm,
today. They can't get YouTube for fuck's sake. Like it's very limited and controlled. So it would make sense to me that if this is a force that is either cyclic or is being somehow manipulated or controlled, that those who have given consent to all of these things that this
mm.
timeline, I mean, because these are all giving consent to what
Yeah,
this
yeah.
timeline is
They're the most
creating.
consensualized nation, if you want to put it that way. Yeah.
Yes, and everything that the government has asked you to give consent for along your lifetime, it's all adding to the container of this new
Of consent.
artificial world. So it's like you've given consent, your soul has given consent to being a part of it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
man.
then
Prime
would that
consent.
would that then explain why China seems to be the country in the world that it's becoming very obvious that the people have been Mandela affected? If the Mandela effect can actually change objects through all time and space, can change memories, can remove objects, can completely redesign context, books, songs, performances, videos, news reports, everything alters. Why would you think that wouldn't happen with people? And we've got this like, re cyclic reset where we're all obsessed with trying to figure out where all the people went 200 years ago. So why would we not be seeing that right now?
Deja
Really?
vu, man, just like in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Where are all the people? Deja vu,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, yeah. So I think that's a definite, possibility that either our frequency is raised or theirs has lowered, and we've just hit that point where we can't see each other anymore, right? They're no longer in our visible spectrum, if you want to put it that way. And another interesting theory is time and time travel.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and this is something that's been talked about since the 1800s, like the time machine, Jules Verne, um, and we've watched a show recently on it. But I guess the best way to put it is Back to the Future. We've all seen Back to the Future, and what happens when Marty goes back and he changes things in the past, gets back to the
Mm,
present, and it's a
yeah.
different present, right?
Yeah.
He's either on a different timeline, or when he changes it, time has then run its course and ended up at a different place.
Which could be us, Campbell. So we could be the ones that have come in from the future. And it could be that we are impacting and creating this glint. And maybe it's because what's happening right now is more like a since Y2K, since 2000, is kind of like a an upgrade of the operating system, but not in a way that we want approved for or is good for humanity in any context. That there seems to be a patch being put on, right? So there's like it's sort of and I think which is interesting. So I would then call us divergent. I would call those who understand what's going on with the Mandela effect, have the memories and know and didn't give consent to be divergent. And for us, that would mean that our reality is becoming unstable. So for us, time is becoming unstable. The reality around us is becoming unstable. Like
Mm.
our emotions are unstable, our general vibes are unstable, like we are divergent, whereas the system itself or the parasites or the agenda, whatever fucking word you want to put on it, is sort of like doing an upgrade right now, putting a patch on reality, synthesizing humanity to be part of this upgraded new reality, which we're seeing, like, basically from the whole transhuman agenda to the smart devices, to the plugging in, to the smart cities, to the, giving consent to put synthetic biology into your bodies. What the fuck? Like, so all along the path since 2000. So what were we watching the other day? And it was talking about 1999 and the
Yeah,
Matrix.
yeah, it wasn't Yes Theory, but it was one of the dudes from Yes Theory, wasn't it?
Don't remember.
Is that the one we watched here? Where we watched a video and the guy started basically said, like, almost word for word what you said in one of our videos. I think it got
Yes.
1.5 million views.
Oh,
Bloody
but we're
hell.
we're about quality, man.
Quality.
Quality,
Quality.
quality community, real,
Um,
real, real community.
yeah. But basically, there's a whole theory that the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s all had their own
Yes,
fashion, their
yes,
own look,
yes.
their own sound,
Yep.
their own,
Mm.
feel, and you could point to different decades. That's definitely from the 60s kind of thing, where from the year 2000 forward, we don't seem to have that. And, a lot of people find it hard. I was listening to a thing, to pick out dates, like the years when things happened post 2000, but pre 2000, it seems to be easier to pick the years. Don't know if let us know if that's happened to you. But basically, we had the Y2K in the year 2000.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, the internet was only
Yep.
around a couple of years, really, as far as the public being able to
Yep.
access it. And that was the introduction of algorithms, right? It was at the same time that Mr. Al Gore and his rhythm was telling us the whole world was going to explode as well, by the way. So the
Yeah.
algorithm, which is,
Climate change.
yeah, yeah, right. And so that creates echo chambers, right? And we know this, like if you don't know about echo chambers, go and get a friend or relative's computer, get them to get YouTube up and do a search, and what you get will be completely different to what you get on your computer. So we're all in echo chambers too. You know, we get the information, even though they try to change ours a lot because they get these weird things pop up. But this is what's happening. It's putting us in these places where we're not getting a lot of new, you know, we're getting the same information put thrown at us all the time, right? Um, and so life becomes like a cycle, right? And we're spending our time, especially with the internet age, looking at things that aren't real, right? They're in a screen and we're not going outside. And so this is speeding up time. But
Yeah.
basically, yeah, the theory is we're in like a vortex, and that's why nothing is that there's no difference, right? So in the years or decades this century, brother, you know, there's just not in fashion, not in, you know, there's been some weird rainbow fashion, but apart from that,
So it's interesting because if we take that 1999, so the Matrix basically says that the whole like false
the
world
Matrix
that the people live in the Matrix movies
based yet
was
on
based on
1999,
1999 because that was the gold, that was the
the
best
peak.
years, the peak year of human civilization.
Yeah,
And then we entered 2000. So, and it's true. Yeah, everything since 2000 seems to have been looping and cycling and recycling and not new. It's not new. So what if the oh, God, we need some language. The grid, oh, fucking what do we call this? What if the all right, I'm just going to say the grid, the false reality, the false grid. What if the false grid that they put in at during Y2K like basically has it can't upload quick enough because there's nothing new. There's nothing new to process. There's nothing new to expand and evolve itself on. Like it's looping, and that looping is causing the glitch. It's causing the glitch, and it's looping like that. So it's signed up a big chunk of the population, but it's thrown a big chunk off. So we, the divergent ones, have thrown ourselves off from this updating timeline that's now in some meltdown mode because it's looping because there's no new input. And maybe that's why this artificial timelines always at some point have to collapse. Maybe that's why it's cyclic because it's recycling itself.
mm,
And if it doesn't have new content, like if the internet didn't have anything new being inputted into it, like from this day forward, not one new thing, thought, sentiment, word, image, music, nothing, then what would happen to it? It would start to, it might cause the glitch because there's nothing to process. That it's just recycling. That
yeah,
would be speedy for someone divergent. And our reality as a result would be becoming unstable, not stable. But the ones who have plugged in to it would be stabilizing right now. So they don't have any sense that anything's going on. They've got no sense that people are
no,
missing. They've got no sense of Mandela effect. They've got no sense of anything to do with the weather or anything to
mm.
do that they don't know what chemtrails are. They've never thought about Florida. Like they're stable. Their lives are sort of stabilized.
They are, man. A lot of them are
They are.
still, and they want to go back to the system. Right? That's their future plans is to keep doing what they've been doing, right? Keep sort of propagating this thing.
And plug into it. Like they will
Yeah.
adapt. They'll adapt into the smart cities and say, excellent. They will adapt into getting a chip in their eyeball and have online access. They'll think excellent. They'll
Mm.
adapt to getting superhuman strength and things by, connecting them with technology. All of that will for them feel like stable and obvious and welcomed and with a rewardable result. To them, that is a stable society they're living in. And that's, I would say, time has not really done much for them. I don't think it's moved. It hasn't sped
Yeah,
up or
yeah.
slowed
Well,
down.
yeah. It's a good point, right? It's us that have changed, or have we not changed? I don't know.
We,
I think we have changed, right? Like that's why we're the ones on the outskirts, sort of looking in now, going, "What the hell?" Even though we all knew that it was all crap most of our lives, it's you know, we still didn't see it as so nefarious, and we were sort of living in it and that. But now we're like, "Oh my God, get me out of here!" Which is clearly different to the population.
yeah,
So,
I mean, like, and I like the word divergent, Cam. I think that's a good word. I don't like Mandela effect. I think that's a stupid term and we haven't, it misunderstands what is going on. Um, but if we call ourselves the divergent just by the that we have ceased to plug into it. We
Mm,
remember the good old 80s and 90s. We remember it. We remember how busy and authentic and fun and free and physical it was. And we have slowly become disenchanted by what's been presented to us. We're slow on the uptake. We're slow on the uptake of technology. We're certainly slow to get to voting polls. We're certainly slow to get to any doctor's surgery. We're slow on all of that. We're slow on the next offer. We don't buy into the next offer. We don't upgrade to the next service. We're slow. So we have become unstable because our reality as a result is not, we're not plugged into it. So we have become unstable. We're not biologically synthesized to it. So our realities are becoming unstable. And our emotions, our sleep, our dreams, our the very essence of what we do during the day is becoming unstable. So I think that's really interesting. So one of the things I started to think about from that topic was another characteristic that is true of the ones that have biologically synthesized is that they have a very centralized perspective.
mm,
And I think that if you, as a divergent member of society, as a divergent member of society, we would do, in order to stay, like, what's the word? In order to maybe like keep a sense of well-being in this process, we ourselves must remain decentralized mentally. You can't get, and this is why I
mm.
think religion has fucked up so many people in the truth community because you have centralized around a mind state. And at some point, that centralized mental perception of a religion is going to crumble because you're divergent and your reality is not stable. So if you centralize around any topic, which means for you and I, Cam, we have to have the ability to hold, like, a lot of different perspectives on the one topic simultaneously and never declare that this is it, this is the path, this is the truth, this is the way.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what religion is. It's centralized thought control. I mean, and if you are religious, Christian, um, no offense intended, but let us know what you think about the Mandela changes in the Bible. What does that mean? Like, it's an interesting question. What does that mean to the Word of God? Like, who's like? There's literal changes. The
Yeah.
lion lies down with the sheep, or the wolf it is
The
now,
wolf
and
now.
yeah, and God says He's named what is it?
Jealous.
Jealous. Yes, my name is jealous. All these weird things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Because
what does that mean to the religious out there who are believing this book as the Word of God?
Because the Bible and religion and all religions are part of this artificial timeline.
Mm,
It's part because it's made of and is within this artificial timeline.
yeah, yeah.
That and you can
It's
tell
part
because
of
it
it.
centralizes your fucking thinking.
Mm.
Then you can tell because that's how you can tell. If someone has centralized thought, they're synthetically, biologically linking themselves to this artificial timeline.
And let's not forget it was the church who stole all the cathedrals. And I
That's
know a lot
true.
of people, a lot of Christians will say we believe in Jesus, not the church, and that's definitely better than believing in the church. But yeah, so this is like the program that the overlay, is what I would call it, what you were just sort of talking about this system that's been imposed on us. And is this what happened? Is this how they took over Tartaria, right? And was this the fall that it was? We know all the energy frequency stuff was taken out of the cathedrals and all this. It was all changed,
Yep.
and the spelling, right? There was a spell put over. So, and then
Yep.
we go to school and they teach us what everything is. This is a house. It's a blah, blah, blah. So they literally program us to see what they want us to see. So is this the illusion, like the overlay? And is that slowly lifting, or are we seeing through it, right? Which is mentioned in so many prophecy and religious books and etc. Like,
Yep.
is that what's going on? That we are from the old time. That's why we remember the original template, and this spell that's over everyone, we're starting to see through it because we've never been complicit, right? We've never said, yes, we're into it, and everyone else has. So it's become their solid reality. But because it hasn't become our solid reality, it's now changing, right? It's in flux, and we're seeing all this weird stuff happen. So,
Hmm.
and it's kind of along the same thoughts of the split, right? Is that what the split is? That there's going to be people in different frequencies, I think. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean another Earth needs to be created. We can be in the same space, but on different frequencies so
Yeah,
that
that's
can't
right.
interact. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have that conversation, Cam, and I was thinking, when we talked last week about the split Earth, this concept of the old Earth and the new Earth, and they're being split off, really the visual presented on that is usually on the round Earth in space. But if you take it from the flat Earth model, like that would be vertical. So it would be frequency, it would be vibration going up. So the split is, and we've actually talked about this on a previous show, Karen, if you remember, but we hypothesize that you've got the flat realm, you've got these domes, which is actually also, I will say this is
Oh,
identified in the Bible also,
yeah, the
but
seven domes.
the
Yeah, yeah.
seven domes, but they may just be, like vibrational vertical shifts. So indeed, there's going to be a shift into a new artificial realm,
Hmm.
and but that to me would be vertically going down
Yeah, so
because
just
it's not
like the
life
musical
giving.
scale.
Yeah, maybe yes. I mean, the
Hmm.
musical scale is associated with colors, it's associated with vibration,
Yeah,
for sure. So
seven to seven.
the less synthetic biology you've signed up to, and the less centralized your mental state is, because you're projecting forward what you're consciously, focusing on, like the less you're doing of that, you would be vibrationally a match for the old ways, vibrationally a match for the old earth, vibrationally a match for the organic template, right? So
Hmm.
because we don't hear much, I mean, I was about to say we don't hear much about the organic template changing as a result of the Mandela effect. We tend to hear about the object, people, places, things, times, and events in the inorganic timeline, in the
Yes.
artificial timeline, not the organic one,
It's a good
maybe.
point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I haven't seen a new plant or anything, or a crocodile be called a dog or anything like that. Um,
But
which is interesting, yeah, because that would be the organic template, and the overlay is society and everything that it's created, right?
I
Which is
mean,
all these
the
logos.
continents have
Well, the
apparently changed
continents.
shapes.
Well, that's a good. I mean, I definitely remember New Zealand being up mid or north, on Australia's coast. Now it's like down near Tasmania. It's like it's heading towards the Arctic, man.
What
Um,
I'm, sorry, go on.
and South America.
Yeah, and Japan,
It's
that shifted
pushed out. The
too.
Japan one looks weird.
Mm,
So that and of course we have all the questions with maps. We know there's a lot of distortion and they're not real
mm.
and everything looks weird. But the maps that I remember, they don't exist anymore. And another one, I remember being told that there was land at the North Pole when I was in school. Apparently that never existed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. True.
It's just
And
water, right?
also, we do create this false concept potentially. People create this false concept potentially that, when we ask the question, where did all the bodies go? Where were the missing people of Tartaria? What happened to Tartaria? We do make this assumption that they were disappeared from this realm. Like, but in actual reality, we may have fallen lower than them. So
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
them disappearing from here, we've
Yes.
just fallen lower than they are. So we
Yes.
can't see, sense, or experiencing them because they remained and retained
Yeah,
their
yeah,
true
we
frequency.
fell for the spell or whatever it was, and this is the concept that Tartari is still there, right? Fully functioning.
Yep.
It's just on a higher vibration. And is that what we're going to walk into? Is that this new earth, that once we hit that frequency, we'll start to see all that stuff? Because, that's with the Mandela effect. Are all these small changes going to keep happening until there's a completely different world, right? And we're like, oh my gosh. Ford have always made flying, airships. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's right.
is that how it's
Um,
going to change? I mean, I don't know. And of
I
course,
guess,
oh,
yeah.
you go.
No, no, go.
I was going to go on a tangent, so you go.
No, please go on a tangent because I'm always interrupting you. Go for it.
Well,
I'll
I
just
was
hold my
just,
thought.
oh, God. Well, I was going to get back to time travel. The whole thing. I mean, this is another concept to think about. Is time travel. Like I said, that the first stories were back in the 1800 printed books. Then we have all this weirdness, right? We've got the books by about Baron von Trump and Trump. We've got the Trump Tesla connection with Trump's was it uncle taking Tesla's paper. Then we have Project Looking Glass, where they were apparently looking into the future, and they could, basically make changes. That was the
Yeah.
story of Project Looking Glass. They'd make changes and see how it affected the future. So is that kind of a thing been going on, but further back, right? Because we know that all this technology is really just harvested from the
Mm,
old civilization. So
yeah.
is there time travel going on? I mean, is that I mean, I think it's definitely we have to, it's
Well,
another one of those very out there ideas that we've always been taught is just impossible. But is it? Because I mean, if there is no time outside of this reality as we're told, then you know, I guess you just need to jump out and jump back in, right? And that's time travel. And we know that they love to mess with things, right? To try and control us. So if I think one thing we know that if they had access to time travel, the Allies, that they would use it to mess with us. They just would.
I mean, that's definitely a high possibility. Like,
It
And
is. I
um
mean,
and Trump
well,
lost me with the dream conversation because I just think Trump, the repetitive dreams feel like an attempt at patching into synthetic biology. That's
mm,
what they feel like to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's very Dark City, right? Changing reality while we're
Yeah.
sleeping. Is that through programming us? Is that through programming, the reality we're in? And that's another option. But I mean, I don't think we're living inside a video game. But obviously, if we are, then the Mandela effect is just a couple of, commands on a keyboard. But like how do all these people get into power? How do they all become billionaires? How are they doing this? We've all seen the time travel movies where they go back and they're like, I'll just take a good idea back with me and I'll be the inventor and then I'll become a billionaire or I'll do this. I'll watch what someone else does and I'll go back and do what they did and I'll get the power. Is this what's going like how do we end up with this many, you know, whatever they are in power?
Maybe they've been synthesized through more than one timeline. So that when if you I mean because we don't understand what it means because we're just theorizing, we don't understand how it works.
Mm,
Like we can only theorize that possibly you if for the people now who have given consent and have synthesized and will inevitably therefore be part of the inorganic artificial timeline, and they'll feel stable in that timeline. And we, on the other hand, are the divergent, totally unstable in this timeline. And it is us that's watching the timeline change and contort and do very weird things. Um, so potentially we are on the pathway towards remembering enough to get our vibration into that consciousness and to be witnessing a transformation on this realm
mm,
in our favor, going back towards a higher frequency, a higher life-giving, love-giving, compassionate frequency. That's where we're all aiming to go. That's where we've staked our sovereignty. That's where we've given consent. If we've given consent to anything, it's to be a part of a world that's full of love and compassion and
mm,
creativity and freedom and no one's enslaved, all of that stuff. And we know what we've given consent to. So it's us that I feel are the unstable ones changing. It's so I think that with people like Trump, they have been and will forever be the biological manipulators, not Trump specifically, but of that ilk, that manipulate this density. Potentially, they are so powerful because they stay with this density. So they are the ones that are moving through these cyclic resets within this density and aren't able to move in and out of it. So essentially, we appear to be the enslaved ones, but they are literally potentially enslaved by a density and cannot move anywhere. Which is why to them, they're playing out. And of course, that means they accumulate centralized power.
Mm, mm.
So I think I'm thinking more on those lines that they remain the
Yeah,
figureheads
well,
and bloodlines of a certain density perpetually.
that's a good point. I'll just say also, like, is it the reason that, most of us have always felt like we don't belong here, right? That we're something
Yeah.
different. Is that literally, yeah, because we've been dragged into a place that we're not really
Well, have
supposed
we
to
been
be?
dragged? Have we been
Have we
dragged?
been dragged or have we been fooled or did we choose? I don't know. That's
Or
a
are
good
we here
question.
are we
On a
here just
mission to raise the vibration of others.
but if we talk about vibration, and if we were part of a higher frequency, which I believe we are and were, and that's why we have association with it and conscious of it, then surely we came here by choice, not by default and not by accident. We
Yeah, that's a
literally
good
came
point.
here
Yeah.
by choice, and thus this choice has everything to do with our own personal evolution
Mm.
and our own personal experience. I mean, I feel like that's more coherent of what would be an aspect of us if we had come from a higher realm.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, for these, controllers or the front men, whatever they are stuck here. I mean, like them going into space and trying to create the dome is a very sort of good analogy, isn't it? Like they're trying
Yeah.
to get above something that they can't. It's a frequency, right?
Hmm.
They can't get out of here, but that also means that they rule this frequency, right, forever. So I guess that's a different way you could look at, the
Because
cycles, right? The great year and the sine wave going up and down is that there's always everything always exists, which I guess, it would have to. And the sine wave is us dipping
yes,
down into a lower frequency to experience that and then coming back up and getting air and living the good life and then doing it. Is that what's happening? Where the sine wave rather than the frequency is going up and down and changing, is it us?
yeah, I mean that would make more sense to me, obviously.
Mm,
I mean, it would have to be the divergent wave that like keeps interrupting or not bringing this timeline into complete fruition for our experience anyway. I
mm,
mean, at the end, so then you would put people like Trump akin to say the architect of the Matrix, if you'd use that analogy, like they're just that's what they do. That's where they are. That's their role. That's their thing. They
yeah,
maintain the container of their reality, which becomes the reality of those who've given consent to it.
yeah, yeah. And they just keep playing the same role in different, meat suits, right?
I
And
mean,
just get recycled.
Trump could do everything we've been asking for politically.
Oh,
He could do like extraordinary things on a political scale, but what's going to be the outcome? It'll be exactly the same cycle.
yeah.
Exactly the same cycle.
Well, this is why, like, I've always thought if I ever became a politician or ever somehow became a leader, I'd just dissolve the whole parliament and the whole system, right? But these people never will.
No, never.
As good as they are and as much as they
No.
promise, as much as they do, they're never going to say, guys, you need to rule yourself. You don't need us.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be taking the Earth back to 1999, where it was optimal again. So maybe that's the drive. They're just trying to get back to that optimal place where there's a leader in charge, where everyone feels he's done good things, appears to have done positive things, and everyone's gone back to a stable existence, the economy's stable. There's just enough fear to keep you interested, but like a lot of stability to keep you safe and sound, like optimal, right? There's
Hmm.
and I guess there's creativity come from that vibe. Like when people feel that way, they're more creative, so new things can occur. So maybe the whole point of the game is to keep trying to reset it back to that analogy of 1999. So Trump may be that being that is destined to do that and will always be that being destined to do it. We talk about different bloodlines running through. I mean, you know,
Hmm.
like
Well, it is. I mean, even the money, is cycles, right? It's set up to collapse. I know it's only got a certain life. It's a
it's set
cycle.
up.
It is set up to collapse, right? So And
Sows it
everything
all,
really
right?
is, right? Yeah, it's like reset it, do it again.
Peace is set up to collapse on this realm.
Yeah,
Peace,
peace.
harmony, unity. It's all set up to collapse on this realm because guaranteed there'll be the next threat, there'll be the next war, there'll be the next thing
Always.
to
And
trigger
if
it.
yeah, and then, you've got to fight for peace. If you want an oxymoron to use, go to war for peace.
That's
Kill for
right.
your God. Hello.
That's right. Yeah, and if you look at sort of like the levels of decay, like if we just take an object, like a piece of furniture or a fruit, a piece of an apple, for example, and you watch the decay process, like there's the optimal time when that apple is completely plugged into the organic grid and it's thriving and it's got nutrition running and it's healthy and it's big and beautiful, and then it gets picked. So you've just gone down a layer of vibration. And the people who pick that apple are now dictating its future. And then if you just leave that apple off the tree out in the sun to just sit there and experience and exist, then it starts to decay, right? And so eventually you're going to get the version of the apple, which is just a blackened, moldy, decaying mess. And if you were to walk into a world full of this version of reality, a black decaying mess, you kind of be at that sort of hell level, that sort of real low frequency, that real vibration, which is where the artificial timeline seems to be like, from our perspective as the divergence, it seems to be becoming artificial, recycled, cardboard cut out of itself, hollow. It's feeling so hollow. Everything's
Mm.
so hollow. The food's hollow. Everything's hollow. The water, the sustenance, the sun, everything about
Well,
life at the moment, it feels hollow
yeah,
apart
yeah.
from community.
Yeah. I
Apart
mean,
from community.
yes, community, come and join us, help build the farm. Um, Monsanto are genetically modifying seeds. So
Yeah.
literally there's not even any
Yep.
divergence or any change in the plants. They're all
Yep.
carbon copies of each other.
Yep.
So there's not even any new imagination there. And this is the end of never-ending story, right? The thing that was going to kill the world was the great
The
nothingness,
nothingness.
right? And the way to stop that was to start creating and using your
Imagination.
imagination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we needed new information into the system
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
create to keep it going or to create a new one.
And what the theory is that's from 1999, 2000, Y2K, that stopped happening.
That's happened, yeah. And you see it now on YouTube. Everyone's just copying each other. There's
Yep.
not a lot of new, content as far as just where people give their own unique perspectives even.
Yep.
There's so many videos of people just watching TikTok and they don't even say anything. They just watch the video and they get
Yep.
hundreds of thousands of views. Very crazy. But
Yep.
even all the other stuff, all the stories, people, there's no, imagination in. There's no free thought in there. It's just let's just do what's already being done. Replicate, right? How do you build a
So,
robot, right?
so
Replicate,
from our
replicate.
perspective, like we're looking at that decay, we're looking at the level of the apple that's decayed. Because in
Mm,
our perspective now, food's been poisoned. You got to really search hard to find high thriving vital food, and then it's super expensive. So, I mean, f food has been poisoned. We're seeing the decaying apple. When we look at the cities, we're seeing the decaying cities. Now we're seeing empty decaying cities, which is just another version of a decaying city. So everywhere our eyes look, it's in the state of decay.
mm,
But everywhere someone who's synthesized biologically looks, they're not in a state of decay. They feel like the world is moving forward in a really wonderful way. That
mm,
technology is like coming in and giving them all sorts of advantages and opportunities. So it's really interesting to look at what it means to be in this vibrational bridge that we are now sitting in, where we're living in what we feel like is a vibrationally decayed reality. But because we like acknowledge that and are conscious of that and haven't centralized our minds and our thinkings around anything in particular, we're able to see evidence of there being a different reality,
mm.
like overlaying this one. Like we're the ones that are starting to see evidence of something changing reality. We're seeing evidence of our timelines shifting. We're seeing evidence of time changing.
Yeah.
Through all our history of all of our research on Tartaria, we've seen enough. We've seen evidence of all the dates changing and all the calendars changing and all the history changing and all the stories changing and all the people who have been put up by societies being the good heroes of society like Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa. That's all changed. Like all the false gods have fallen, religion's fallen, everything has fallen and changed through our eyes.
Mm. Yeah, totally. This is what we've been, asking for and dreaming of forever, right? And it's here. So I mean, it's good. I think there's a lot more going on, obviously, right, than they tell us. And it's interesting that just in this time of change, obviously they've been, trying to get us to believe in climate change and all this kind of stuff. But they've been telling us, right, things are going to change. And they release it, and then obviously the last 4 years, it's just gone berserk. And is that just to mask what's going on behind the scenes? Is it just to give them a good story, a good narrative? Oh, this is why this is happening. This is why this is happening. People are disappearing because of, things that we introduced, right? Like because we don't even know if that's what the true story there is really. Um, but it's interesting. There's so much chaos, right, that going around, and so it's all this vying for our attention when we can see that the Earth is changing, the Mandela effect's hitting. There's weird stuff going on in the skies. Planes are still falling out of the sky. Like there's everyone's starting to question
Yeah.
governments. They're starting, all the celebrities
Yeah.
have fallen. People are getting exposed. So it always looks like it's getting worse.
Mm.
But it's not when you look through the layers, man. I mean, the Pope's gone, Klaus is gone. Um, yeah, that's very interesting, right?
I mean, I think if we were to look at, like what do you do to protect yourself from this decaying reality and to continue to move yourself towards a higher vibration, a higher experience of a timeline,
Mm,
then I mean, like things are obvious to me. One is you have to use your imagination. So you've got to put yourself in it because our mandate is to make known the unknown. And like, so you have to put yourself in a situation where you are being asked to do that. So this is, when we say come and join us on the farm, this is not us trying to build a farm, by the way, everyone. Like we haven't even ever had that conversation. Like what we are attempting to do is bring together people to express their creativity together in community and basically build a kingdom. Like, and a kingdom in as much as we're the ones there building in our own image and using our own physical hands to learn how to do that using whatever is around us at the time, predominantly from natural sources. So that, in essence, is protecting you from this, decaying realm.
mm.
Obvious things. You don't give consent ever to anything to do with this artificial realm. You stay out of that whole, and I really believe, Cam, that like not giving consent is something potentially we would maybe need to do every day at the moment. Like I just feel like there's something about as a sovereign being, as a soul imprint who has basically come down and moved from frequencies and vibration and
Mm.
is on the journey back up the pyramid through the vibrations that you have to be stating non-consent verbally all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there
We should add that and join the get your shit together, our guys. We should add that in.
that video we
That
watched.
video of
Yeah, that
non-consent,
was a
that
good,
short one.
yeah.
It's good, to speak out loud, right? Cast your spells every morning of who you are and what you believe in and who you're going to give consent to or not to.
So you've got to be around people that are also divergent. You've got to be around the divergent communities. So your neural pathways are wiring and firing on a really strong level, connected to others, and you're downloading information on the organic grid, which is your telepathic mind, with others of the same ilk and who see and are of that different frequency band. You want to protect, you want to make sure you are saying, I do not give consent to basically anything offered to you. And really do everything in your power not to sign your name to anything. I feel like consent's a really big one. You certainly don't give consent to anything that the government offers, obviously. because that is the architect of the matrix. That's just the blue pill. That's just the system, right?
Mm,
Like, you know, trying
totally.
to
Yeah.
synthesize you biologically. You
Yeah.
have to use
Yeah.
your imagination and creativity. That's definitely a thing. I 100% will always, it is, this is the timeline of the nature of nonsense, my friends. That's what we're calling this farm. That's its whole vibe. It's the nature of nonsense. That's what we are trying as a group to master.
Mm,
Yep.
yeah. So come and help us build it. Yeah, we didn't know how to build a stage and we just worked it out. And when we needed help, someone turned up. They
I
drove like
mean,
8 hours to get there too. And this is what happens. And you don't have to have any skills, just come and figure it out. And then whoever needs to be there to teach us will be there and it'll
yeah,
happen.
exactly. And it's not like building a stage seems like a very small thing to do. Really, it seems like a very small thing to do, but like vibrationally, it's massive. Like,
Mm,
so don't misunderstand what's achievable in the physical world as far as communities getting together as being, um, too small to make any difference. Because vibrationally, what we're saying is that we're taking matters into our own hands. And it's going to start from the ground up with our own creativity. That's how you build a fucking kingdom. That is
mm,
how you build. That it may essentially be your bridgeway, our collective bridgeway to like waking up one day and we're just suddenly in a different frequency band and experiencing and witnessing reality. It may be that the reality in front of us, the decay, just ceases to exist, just
mm.
ceases to even eventually be remembered or even
Yeah.
be.
If you want
Mm,
something new, you don't focus on destroying the old. You go out and build the new. Like so, that's literally what we're doing here. And like Kelly said, it's not about so much about the structure. That'll be awesome because we'll get to use it for awesome events and stuff. But it's the relationships, right? And the friends you make and the conversations you have and the
it's
taking
the
control of your direction.
It's the organic internet. You're basically
Organic
when
internet.
you're around your other people, it becomes an organic internet.
Yeah.
You're basically on you're wiring and firing because I feel like the vaccine was like a what do they call them? Like when
Internet
you
killer. A
well
virus, right? An internet
like
virus.
firmware. Yeah, I feel like it was firmware,
What's
you know,
firmware?
like it's like when they put something onto the computer and it like it's kind of like a virus, but like it's similar to a virus, I guess, but it changes the
Becomes
operation system.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I feel like the vax was literal physical synthetic firmware, but the consent was the ethereal firmware. And they really did a masterful job at pushing people to offer consent at that level, right?
Mm.
So,
Yes, they did. Sad, sad. We saw a
and I
very
guess,
interesting talk on it the other day. There's a lot going on out there. Oh,
mm,
and by the way, guys, we're going to leave a link below. There is an amazing movie
oh
that has been
yeah,
put out. It's based on Australia and all the stuff that went on in the last 4 years, and basically, it's all about putting these people on trial. Really, it's got all the information of everything, exactly how to charge these people, all the crimes. Really good. What was it called? Can you remember?
witness statement.
Witness statement. So link below, go check it out.
It's just come out. It's just come out. We're plugging it. We went to a talk on it the other night. And yeah, I mean, it was really, we learned a few things that I didn't know about. There's just stuff that I just did not know about. So
No,
there's
we're born
definitely,
with a hole in our heart, which is now in the center of our chest.
yeah. And so, I mean, that's just a follow up to the last 4 years, and it's an Australian team that's produced this. It's called Witness Statement, and it can only be found on Rumble. So the links will be below. So that also very fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, and please
So,
share the link around, get it out. They're trying to get out to as many people as
mm.
possible.
So the last thing I wanted to say, Cam, on this topic was to summarize, was that when you come into a situation with your community, a physical situation, I think in those moments your reality will stabilize because I think time will go back to a normal time where you feel like your days are long and slow and you get a lot done. Number one, I think the consciousness evolves very dramatically and quickly. I think you feel safe and sound. I think vibrationally you feel at ease and you feel relaxed and you feel safe and comfortable. And those, all those combination, and then you start having ideas, wonderful ideas, new ideas, and you start to talk about these ideas. And it's a natural stimulant of being in a space like that. And then,
Mm,
of course, you're in nature, and you're not on the computer. You're actually in this, I think all of those things would stabilize reality. So I think for the divergence out there, wherever you are in the world, you can't all come to Australia, but wherever you are in the world, you should be making an effort to find that divergent community that's akin to your value system and spend time with it. Make the effort, take the time to get there, to do the things, whatever they're offering, like get engaged and involved, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be these moments where you stabilize and feel like your old self again.
mm. Yeah, and if you've got land out there, one, I know there's a lot of people with land who want stuff done, and it can all seem very overwhelming, right? If you have got land and you've got stuff that needs to be done, put out a call to the community, right? Get them around to all get involved and help build something awesome and build relationships and all that kind of stuff. That's what we need.
Mm. I mean, so fascinating, fascinating topic. So in conclusion, I think China is the first one we as a community are witnessing big time, and others online now because they were the most easily patched in to the synthetic biology. They were the quickest and the easiest and have been removed from the timeline and potentially are now fully in or continuing to exist in something that we can't see anymore, but would be pretty bad. I would feel it would be it's even lower. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that, yeah, I think that the no consent is important vibrationally because it's a word, right? It's vibration.
Hmm.
I think that the jab was the ultimate like firmware that entered your body, and your consent was the ultimate consent that made you say yes to being part of an artificial timeline or the inorganic matrix.
It's
And
yeah, it's just like Hollywood and all this kind of stuff. You get in and they get little consents off you, little consents, and
mm,
before you know it, you're in Buddy Harvey Weinstein's
mm,
office, right?
mm, mm, mm. Yep. Same. And that's been happening our entire lives. And as we were children, our parents did it on our behalf. You know, like even when we were birthed, they gave consent. They gave consent to signing things and they gave consent straight
Yeah.
up from the
Yep.
second on our behalf.
Yep. So we need to take that back as well because that wasn't theirs to give. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I think there's something much bigger happening here. I think it's frequency. I definitely believe that we are, divergent, right? If that's the word we're
It's a
using.
good word. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's a good word.
And so we're not buying the system, the program, and so we're ultimately overriding it and
Yeah.
disintegrating it and
We're making it
rewriting our own.
unstable.
Yeah, so we're
Mm.
we're like the firmware for this reality, right? We're in
We
there,
are.
we're rewriting it. And
We're making it unstable, but in turn, it's making us unstable.
well, because we're in the Vesica Pisces, right, in the
Mm.
lap over bit,
Mm-hmm.
and as
Yeah.
we get further and better in tune with our frequency, then it'll just become easier, right? More solid, more normal, or not. But yeah, I think that's what's happening, man. It's a split. People are going to keep disappearing. Things are going to start getting worse, and the narrative is going to make it seem really, really bad. Like it's all, oh my God, we're heading to Armageddon, but we're not. They might be, but we're not.
I don't think so. I think that we should, by this logic, and it is just a theory because Cam and I, we don't know either, um, is that we should be, by the time that is upon us, basically in a different timeline, is
And
what
this
I
is the other
believe.
thing of why we've all been learning so much and growing and all getting all this information is because we have to be in tune, right? When the surrounding atmosphere or whatever it is allows that jump to happen, you've got to be a match to that new frequency or else you don't go there, right?
Which if you're remembering the Mandela effects, like if you're part of the old
Probably already
memories,
there.
then you're already that's a sign.
Yeah.
That can already tell you. So you could basically go onto the YouTube and see how popular these videos are and what you would get a sense of like the amount of divergence in the world. And also if you follow all the movies, Divergence is a series. It's a TV series, right? And if you follow
Uh,
that
the
concept,
trilogy of movies, yeah.
yes, they were the part of the population that couldn't be categorized. They ha ended up with powers that weren't accepted. Hello,
Mm.
those coming on online, and yeah, I mean the Divergents were the one that basically they did. They kind of I don't can't remember how it ends, but they all sort of end the same way. That the Divergent one ends up
Wow.
bringing about a massive
It's
colorful
interesting.
shift.
They break out of their walled city and find like advanced cities outside, right? Is that an analogy for the ice wall? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows where this timeline and pathway, I mean, and like really enjoy being the observers of this moment in time, guys. Don't get so disgruntled and unstabilized that you're not even having fun engaging it anymore because really we're watching something. I think we came here to be the historical recallers, to be able to tell the stories from being within it and the change for the future.
Hmm.
Wherever that future is for us. But it certainly feels like we're not going to be dying the same way or living the same sort of lifestyle I just think that that's not going to be the end of this lifetime
No,
for
no,
us.
man. We're going to be grey-haired, sitting around a fire,
Oh,
telling the
brilliant, Cam.
stories, you know, and
Waiting
you
for you,
won't
mate.
believe it. These people, they voted for people to control them. It was a crazy world.
Yeah, we'll be able to
No.
recall. That's right. And so we will basically are in a very unique bridge moment in time right now. Very fucking unique. And like these shows, I guess, is Cam and I like recalling our thoughts through this process, which may make up. I would love it to make up an archive that is, studied in the future for, how did these light workers process and understand what was going on, how do we grade our wisdom? I think that would be very fascinating, grading our wisdom in
Great, no wisdom.
500 years from now, Cam, as to what we were talking about and how we were deciphering. But
How did you navigate it? Well, we have a podcast series for you.
but I swear to God, you cannot centralize your thinking. You
No.
can't even decide that the earth is flat. You have to stay open to all manner of possibilities and potentials. As soon as you centralize your mind, then you're a
Yeah.
bit
Don't
stuck.
judge. Don't judge information. Like just it's all interesting, right? As soon as you judge it, you can't learn anything more from it. And you've only got one point of view. When you've only got one point of view, you're being told something
You're in the matrix.
in the Matrix.
You're in the matrix again, right?
Mm,
That's what they want. That's what
exactly.
it wants. That's
No
what it does.
imagination. Yeah,
It
yeah.
centralizes. That's what it does. It centralizes everything. The
Totally.
echo chambers are centralization. So yeah, if you're centralized in your thinking, you've got to hold four versions of the shape of the earth in your brain. Hold four.
Mm,
Just grab four versions that like you could agree could be possible and just sit them all up there. Like when we talk about the Mandela effect, hold as many theories and versions of what it could possibly be, and at some point, all of those versions will synthesize for you into like
mm.
a
Yeah,
reality.
yeah, totally. And you start to see how it's not a fixed thing here, down here. It's fluid, man.
I mean, if we're literally witnessing and living out the Mandela effect, Cam, like you can never say anything's true.
No,
Like if we're literally watching
might not be
reality be
tomorrow.
edited and changed, that's right. So the
It,
truth is not this,
it's
truth is not the
perspective.
game.
No, it's perspective. Like what's true for you? What's your perspective? And then, you learn, alternatives through conversation.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
it.
don't want to be right. If you're right all the time, then you're actually wrong.
I
But yeah,
mean,
just
it's
watch the show, man. It's a finale. We're in the montage. It's all getting exciting. But unless it's happening to you, just remember it's not for your experience. It's just something out there. Don't get
yeah,
emotionally involved with all this stuff.
yeah. Like Trump, it's just something out there.
Hmm.
It's just something out there.
Something out there with really good hair in
I mean,
China.
yeah. So, I mean, you've just got to stay open and don't get trapped into one way of thinking or one perspective. That's why these sorts of shows are good because you get introduced to all sorts of manner of creative theories and concepts, and that all sort of can be held vibrationally. I mean, Yeah. Look, anyway, I'm not gonna I feel like that's a good summary of
Yes, you
like
can't
deeper
around
exploration of potentially what's going on right now and yeah, and the way to protect yourself from it and to start stabilizing, give yourself a few moments of feeling stabilized in amongst all of this amazing unfolding where we're crossing over a frequency band and watching the old Earth reappear in our minds. Hello.
it.
That's
Yeah.
fucking excellent. That is so cool. Of course, we signed up to do that as if, Campbell, if we were offered that, that's that opportunity, you and I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We'd be
Yeah.
like, is there marijuana?
It's yeah,
Like,
the
and we'd be like,
campfires and
we're in,
pot.
baby. I mean, hello, if
Yeah.
we were really offered that, invited to experience that, I think most of us would have said yes.
Mm. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. It's the journey. No, I think it's all good. It's all good. So get out there, guys. Try and cut your screen time down, up your nature time, get out in the garden, come and help us
Oh,
build a
don't go to the
farm.
gym. Don't go to the gym.
Don't.
Let's
Yeah, so you're going to see us transform in front of your eyes over
Oh.
3 months as we get buff. We're going to start turning up in Lycra. We're going to start producing TikTok videos of our workouts.
Taking you back to the 80s.
Yeah, man, let's get physical.
All
Um,
right.
yes, thanks for joining us. Stay
Yes.
awesome. We'll see you next week. All links below. Check out the website, tartaria.com.
Yeah, that's right, team. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed that. Hope that added some extra dimension to the concept of last show. And yeah, let's keep watching, observing. And instead of just commenting, if you've got some actual photographs or actually some evidence that you'd like to add, get onto the website and submit it to the newsletter. And that way it'll get printed and sent out to everyone. So
Yes,
I really rec
but put it together in an article. Don't send us a whole heap of stuff because we don't have the time to put it in.
Oh, I'm not doing any
We're
editing.
not editing, so send us like articles or photos or
I
stuff like
say
that.
that now, but my Virgo mind might take over me and it might not be the case. But
Yes, but then
I
you'll
would
never
like,
sleep.
it's true. I would really like people to send us in exactly what they would want to publish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we can just put it straight in the paper. That would be awesome.
Because spelling's changing as well and grammar's
Spelling.
changing. It's all been Mandela affected.
I agree, man. I always got confused with.
Words.
I'm sure that the spelling in a lot of words has changed. Like I'm always freaking out, looking up, going, "What? That's not how you spell that word."
Yeah, yeah, of
Crazy,
course.
man. We're changing the spell. That's why the spelling is changing.
All right, everyone. Lots of love. Have the best week ever. And we'll see you next week for
Next week.
Tartaria
All
Australia.
right. Stay awesome.